Sports Blitz Live is on the air with full coverage of the Auburn Tigers,
Touchdown, Auburn!
the Alabama Crimson Tide,
Off the inside, intercepted Alabama. Touchdown!
and everything college and high school sports. Now, let's join Andy, Brett, Randy, and Luke for this edition of Sports Blitz Live.
Good Saturday morning out there to everybody, and welcome into the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air, and there's no sunshine today. Scott, good to see you, buddy.
Yes, sir.
It is Easter weekend, so glad that everybody's joined us out there wherever it is that you might be tuning us in out there, but another rain-soaked couple of days. It's a pattern, but it is spring, right?
Yeah, I mean, the month of April, we've seen a lot of this rain, but definitely needed, and we'll enjoy it or be thankful for it once we get to May and June.
Well, if the wind's not blowing 30 miles an hour, we got some rain.
Wow.
So, hey, but yesterday was really, really nice, and but do want to say happy Easter out there to everybody, and we are a sports show, so we're not going to talk about the weather the whole time, but with it being Easter weekend. Is there things that stand out to you in your childhood or throughout life, sports-wise, Scott, that you associate with Easter? I mean, really kind of the Masters and those type events, springish type events, baseball getting started.
That's what I could always relate it to was baseball always started around Easter time, and especially MLB. I mean, the schedule's changed some over the years, but typically it's right around Easter weekend. So, but mainly my sporting activity would have been the competition for the egg hunts.
I was gonna say, how were you as far as hunting Easter eggs? That's exactly where I was going next. Were you pretty good at it, or did you get outrun to the?
I was, I think I could have done a little bit better. Yeah, could have been, but no.
Did it really matter much?
It did not. Really I just.
Did you have prize eggs?
Yeah, I was going for I was really just seeking the eggs
egg.
with the few dollars in there. But no, I mean obviously there's a little more to it than that. But
hey, did you hunt real eggs or plastic eggs?
I've had it both. At the church, we would always do real eggs, and then we'd have some family stuff, or it could have been vice versa. Maybe the church was the fake eggs, and you'd have the real eggs with the family hunt. So,
okay, so did you? I remember this. Hunting real eggs, and you count them, so you know how many you put out, or everybody the adults would put out, and there's always one or two that nobody could ever remember where. Wow. But in a few months, whatever you want to say later, you'd come across that egg. Somebody'd come across it and like, woo, I remember where they hid that one. So, but anyway, it is Easter, and we hope everybody has a great Easter weekend out there. And it's just a great holiday for a lot of different reasons, and a lot of fun to spend with your family, no doubt about it out there. Scott, I'd be remiss to not to start with baseball right now in the SEC. And we were just talking about it. Auburn and Alabama both are playing extremely well right now, and Alabama gets a huge – I called this a couple days on the Auburn Blitz. I actually called it on Tuesday with Luke. I said, look, somebody's going to beat Tennessee. And I said, Alabama, right now, the way they're playing, they're going to go to Knoxville. And why wouldn't they take the attitude of, hey, why not us? They have nothing to lose. This team, Tennessee – with a 31-1 start, who in the world, 12-0, and guess what Alabama does like they do most all the time in about every sport? They go up to Tennessee and they beat them 6-3. But Brad Bohannon's got Alabama really playing well. Butch Thompson has had Auburn playing well. They've lost 2 now to Mississippi State, which is a tough one to swallow because Mississippi State has not been playing well. Auburn let one get away from them on Thursday. They got beat 9-5 last night. But just kind of your opening thoughts on college baseball right now in the SEC, because right now, if Auburn doesn't go on some type of skid right here. I hope they don't. They're two of the better teams right now in the conference.
Absolutely, and the SEC has shown its dominance in baseball over the last decade with multiple teams competing and winning national championships. But specifically, I'll start with Alabama. I mean, I think that this is obviously one of their better teams they've had in a while. And even when teams have had in the SEC, when you've had good teams, it still may not matter as much because the top 7, 8, 10 teams are still going to be some of the top 25 teams in the country.
It is a meat grinder.
It is. It's a grind to go through that SEC schedule. But if you're Auburn, we've been seeing it over the last couple of years where we've had some chances, and you couldn't get to 500 in SEC play. And before the season started, I think it was maybe you and I talking about what would be a successful season for Auburn, and if they could go 500 at SEC, that'd be great or better. And I guess they're 7-7 now in the SEC after the loss last night, which puts them right at 500. And this is a Mississippi State team that's not your typical team that we've seen. They obviously have had some injuries to some key players, but coming in, this would have been a series you would probably thought you would lose anyway. But now, the way that Auburn had been playing, getting some of these series wins in the conference, thought they had a pretty good chance against Mississippi State, and ultimately going to lose the series. But hopefully you could get one today.
Don't know if they'll get to play today because of the rain or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's today marks the halfway point in the SEC schedule. I mean, think about that. You said 7-7. They've let a couple games get away from them here lately, and hopefully that doesn't come back to bite them at the end. Alabama on the other side, going on the road, I don't know that I've ever seen a team like Tennessee off to start the way they are. They hit the ball so well, and to the point where people question their bats. They've been hitting. I think they've got 79 home runs. Auburn's got 37. That's the difference in the extreme of, and that's the discrepancy of home runs for them is about that big against everybody. But Alabama goes up there and holds them to 3 runs at their place. So that's one of the things that kind of stood out to me is most teams have had to. You got to score 8, 9, 10 runs to stay up with Tennessee, and they only gave up 3 last night. So Alabama will try if weather permitting. I mean, I think. A lot of cancellations today. Looking at the radar, all throughout the Southeast, not going to be able to get much of anything in. You better have a dome if you want to. So if you want to get those in, but halfway through this, already halfway through the SEC schedule.
I mean, and it's gone by fast. I remember back in February, when it was starting, I was like, it's already college baseball season. Now you look up 2 months in, and you're halfway through the conference schedule. And so if you're Auburn, you don't want to do what's happened previously where you've had good starts and you kind of teeter off at the end of conference play. So, they're going to need to win 2 or 3 or more of these series coming down the line, which they're very capable of doing. Good off the mound. They got key pitching performances that they've had over the last month or so. But I think the bats are going to be what wins conference games throughout.
No, you got to score runs. Pitching's got to be sustainable, but you got to score runs if you're going to win games in this conference. So, look, no other way to say it. A little disappointing that they went on the road and have already dropped the first 2 to Mississippi State, a team that was struggling, a team that was at the bottom of the Western Division, and now we've been. As always, good medicine for somebody to roll in. But you got to make a routine play at second base. You got to be able to roll the double play when your pitcher makes a pitch to get you, a routine ground ball. You got to make the play, and Auburn didn't. After fighting and making sure they had a lead twice, taking the lead, Mississippi State came back and tied it, took a lead again. They put Burkhalter in. He pitched really well in the 8th. Walked that leadoff runner in the 9th, but he should have pitched his way out of it because he did pitch his way out of it, but the defense failed. And that's when you give teams like Mississippi State or anybody in this conference, for that matter, second, third chances, you're going to get burned, and that's exactly what they did. You look at another part of that 9th inning, is Mississippi State can get a hit. You can get a hit. So the way they scored were walks, errors, pass balls, and another walk to score that winning run. So, but anyway, just getting started here. We'd love to hear from you. 256-234-6221, or you can comment away. I know there's a lot of people seeing the back of their eyelids right now. With it raining, and you kind of roll over in the bed on a Saturday morning. If you don't have anywhere to go or anything to do, it's just real simple to roll over. So we know some of you will catch us later on. But we'll kind of be all over the map today with everything that's going on. Did you run off where were you when you heard the news that Auburn was preseason ranked number 10 in football? I mean, I'm just that's I don't know if they did that to garner a lot of attention as far as wanting people to talk about the preseason college football poll in April, or if they really feel like this Auburn team's worthy of a 10 preseason ranking. I was blown away, to be honest with you.
I was sitting in a meeting when I saw it. I was scrolling through Twitter, and I saw it, and there were some expletives in my mind that came across that said, I'm not real sure if this is a joke or not, but there is no way.
But for a half a second, I thought, well, maybe none of that crap happened over the last 6 months. Maybe Auburn really didn't go on a 5-game losing streak to lose to end the regular season. Maybe there wasn't an attempted coup against Brian Harsin by boosters and whoever. Maybe all that was a figment of my imagination. Then I went back and looked at the record, and I went, no, that was right. So, but here you go. I mean, is that positive or negative for Auburn, for Brian Harsin, that you look down and you've got a number 10 ranking? Pittsburgh, Oklahoma, Michigan, Texas, Notre Dame. That's 10 through 5, and then Clemson, Georgia, Ohio State, and Alabama. That's 4 through 1. So, I mean, Arkansas way down. I thought to myself, a lot of these teams, Texas A&M, isn't there a lot of hype around them?
Yeah,
right.
I just
Didn't they spend $30 million on some recruits? Don't they have a lot coming back? Got them at 14.
I don't know. There's. Now, this is the power index, so maybe I don't.
No, it's mathematical, but
yeah,
I don't know where the math is. So let's go to the phone lines. Collie, go ahead. You're on Saturday Sports Countdown.
This is Brian.
Brian, you're up, man, early.
Yeah, I went fishing last night on Lake Martin. Caught me a spotted bass. I spotted bass and a crappie.
You got the trio, didn't you?
Yep.
What'd you
I
do?
said you went fishing. I said you caught 2 bass.
Yeah, we caught a bunch of them out there, brother. It was a good night. Who'd you go with?
My friend from Tallahassee.
Good deal, man. Yeah, well, you got up early with us. If you stayed out as late as I did, this is an early morning for you.
I got home about 10 o'clock last night.
Okay, yeah, you got home a little bit earlier than I did. So, hey, man, it's good to hear from you.
Alabama beat Tennessee last night in baseball.
We just talked about that. It's crazy.
And Alabama come back behind, beat Mississippi State 76.
That's right. It's
today's Alabama's A-Day game.
And all this rain, you going?
Nope.
You gonna watch it on TV?
It's not on TV. SEC Plus.
You don't have SEC Plus?
Alabama playing that softball too. Probably be rained out.
Well, Brian, we appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much, man. Good job on catching those fish. Thank you so much. Brian's been with us a long time. He is a namesake in sports talk radio. Seriously, everywhere. If you don't know Brian from Eclectic, you've had your head in the sand for sure. Up against our first break of the program. Stay tuned. More Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Farmers and Merchants Bank of Dadeville is building a foundation of strength and trust in the entire Lake Martin community. With our modern branch in Dadeville and caring, attentive staff, we've established Farmers and Merchants Bank as a reliable friend to your banking needs. Whether it's just a savings or checking account or any commercial, auto, or real estate loan, Farmers has local decision-making to build a relationship with you and your needs. Farmers and Merchants Community Bank. Strength, service, community.
Russell Do-It Center and building supply stores have the tools and materials to get the job done right, whether you're a professional contractor or just a weekend do-it-yourselfer. With everyday customer conveniences like a drive-through lumberyard, price match promise, and our Best Rewards program, each of our 9 locations offer top brands and building materials like lumber, hardware, tools, paint, lawn and garden, and much more. Visit today and see what Russell Do-It Center and Building Supply can help you build tomorrow.
Don't be caught in a dirty vehicle. Lake Martin Mobile Detailing will have your vehicle or boat looking like brand new in no time, and you'll be back driving in style. They specialize in detailing, paint correction, gel coat restoration, and ceramic coating. Take it to the professionals at Lake Martin Mobile Detailing. Call them today at 256-794-2328 or stop by and see them at 702 McCarty Road in Dadeville. Mention this ad and receive $10 off. Lake Martin Mobile Detailing for your cleanest vehicles around.
Skag, the toughest name in lawnmowers. Unmatched quality and performance for over 3 decades. The clear choice, the best mower money can buy for work or at home. Top lawn care professionals and discerning homeowners know that Skag means productivity and reliability. Every Skag mower is proudly built right here in the USA. Don't settle for anything less than simply the best. Skag.
Satterfield Outdoor Living on Highway 280 in Alex City.
You want the best opportunity to be successful in life. You deserve that opportunity. Well, you just happens to be in our motto. Central to you, central to your success. Your future is right now. Don't wait. Make your dreams a reality by enrolling at Central Alabama Community College. Register today at cacc.edu.
What's the verdict?
Can't fix your heat pump. Need a new one.
Uh-oh. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking Daikin.
Call on Kevin Kill in Sunshine Heating and Air at 256-825-4849, Central Alabama's premier Daikin dealer.
So what's he thinking?
Oh, he's thinking Daikin.
Daikin, one of the top selling in the world.
Now I'm thinking Daikin.
Daikin. Comfort for life.
Welcome back, everyone, to Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Brett Pritchard and Scott Hardy here with you till 9 o'clock. I'm glad that you joined us out there. And Brian's up. He was fishing. Yeah. Nobody else has got any excuse. You know, when you go night fishing and you not only are watching the program, but you call in.
Yeah.
And then nobody else has any excuse, man. Got to get up and at them, man. I don't know if you've made it.
No, I was when I woke up this morning, excuse me, you know, it's inevitable. You go scroll through your social media timeline, and I saw the pictures, and I was like, so it had to be close to 1 o'clock when he went to bed. I was like, man, I'm struggling now. So there's no way he's about to get up and do the show.
Man,
so
I beat you here for the 822nd
consecutive. Yeah, but we have
consecutive time. So give us a call, 256-234-6221. If you'd like to be part of the program, just kind of talking about that power index from ESPN. The surprise there is Auburn, no doubt about it. LSU's a pretty big surprise too now at 11. Yeah. After going through what they just went through, and they got Brian Kelly now as the coach. If you want to look at these numbers, the win-loss estimation for the top 10, Auburn's got the lowest, of course. 7.4 wins is what they're expecting. LSU 7.7. A&M, here's a shocker. 7.5 wins is what they're thinking for A&M. If he wins 7 games with this team, or even 8 for that matter, Scott, with what Texas A&M, I mean, the pressure's on them. Paul Feinbaum said it a month ago. You know, this is their time. And if you look at Kevin Sumlin's record through 4 years and Jimbo Fisher's record through 4 years, it's identical.
Same amount of bowl wins.
Everything.
Yeah, 1 win against Alabama.
Now, he didn't get fired. Kevin Sumlin didn't get fired after 4 years. He coached 7. So I believe it was 7. Maybe been 6. Maybe been just 2 more.
6.
6.
Yeah.
Okay. And it wasn't terrible. I mean, he ended up. I mean, he had a winning record, but I think Texas A&M's trying to change. They've never been a perennial winner. They've been a. If you go back and look, you know, you can say, well, what is he talking about? Well, Texas A&M. I think Kevin Sumlin had the best start, second to R.C. Slocum in school history as far as. So my point is, I'm going back to Jimbo Fisher. Okay, he's positioned his team to take the next step. Now, they did win 10 games. Or not, well, yeah, they won 10 because they won the bowl game. They were 10-1 the COVID year in 2020. But if you look at the other 3, and then last year they beat Alabama, but really it was a mediocre season. So they win games to position themselves to win the league, but they can't ever get over the hump because they lay a couple of eggs. They lose to teams they're not supposed to lose to. If Auburn had any offense at all, they'd have beat them. They didn't score a single offensive point. They score everything on defense and special teams to beat Auburn this past year. So my point is the pressure, and look, when you're talking about a guy that got a check when he got off the plane for $75 million, I don't know how much pressure you'd say a guy like that's under because he's already cashed his payday. But for this team, this program that's spent, and he can come out and say what he wants to, but they did spend money, got 7 5-stars. It's time for Texas A&M to start taking the next step. If they win 7 or 8 games, you know, that sends a massive message that, man, maybe you can't win out here.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
I mean, I can't see a scenario where they win 7 games. I mean, the algorithm is what it is, and a lot of times they're accurate, and, you know, they're able to do some things that maybe the human eye won't be able to identify. But in terms of what gets them to the next level, like, does it have to be, you know, a playoff run? Obviously, I guess they need to first get to the SEC championship game.
Yeah, they haven't even been to that.
So that would
I think that's where you start.
Okay.
Can they win this division?
See, that's what I just don't know. I mean,
they've always had. I mean, look, here's the thing that should make you concerned as an A&M fan is they've got their win-loss total at 7.5 and 4.6. I mean, that's on the high end. That's saying, you know, there's a possibility of almost 5 losses, 4.5, 4.6. All right, so Auburn, if you're comparing, and we know right now rosters not comparable. Texas A&M much more talented than Auburn right now because of the situation. But a 91.9% chance to win 6 games for Auburn, a 91% chance to win. I know it's only 0.9, but Auburn's got a greater chance to win 6 games. Are you kidding me? There's than Texas A&M.
I don't see a scenario now, and I'm sure it's been talked about too on Auburn Blitz, and we may get into it a little bit later. But you know, 6 win would say that is the floor. That's what Auburn, or the ceiling rather, and Auburn gets 6 wins. Is that enough to keep him?
I mean, you're going to be looking at another 7-6, 6-7 season. I don't know if you know. I don't think you can wait around anymore. I don't think with the way, and I think everything kind of is predicated on what you did last. Everything's a building block. They didn't finish well. Then all the offseason, controversy, crap that went on, whatever, lack of better terms, that happened. He survived that, but did he survive it? Because when you do something like that, you damage somebody's image, you damage their professional pedigree. I think maybe he's changed some of his ways, that he's gone out into the houses of these recruits and they believe in him, but I don't think they can pull the trigger because they don't know if he's going to be there next year. So all this kind of compounds on itself. It kind of builds. So now if he struggled recruiting to begin with, now look what you've done to him. You made it even doubly rough on him going out there trying to convince people to come. And so then you add another 6-6 mediocre season, because the front end of the schedule for Auburn's very favorable. The back end is terrible again. So it's going to be about what you've done for me lately. Everybody's going to say, well, then there's another fast start, and then another flush down the toilet. That's what people are going to remember. Emotions are always going to be high coming off of a season because you either met expectations, exceeded expectations, or failed. And if Auburn fails again under Brian Hartson for 2 straight years, and if he's struggling in recruiting,
I think that's the thing for me. People can forgive. I mean, this is a new regime, new transition of coaches. You're bringing in new personnel, bringing in new coaching staff. People can deal with the wins and losses, I think, if they see that you're making progression. And like you said, we started off great last year. If we'd have just, of those last 5, if we'd have just gone 3-2, you're still sitting in a better spot. But it's the recruiting aspect of when you lost so many players in the offseason, and now when you're trying to bring in some of these top-tier guys, especially in state, if I'm the parent of a high-profile recruit, I'm like what you just said, I'm not sure I can give the commitment or allow that to happen.
If you just take care of business and beat Mississippi State, South Carolina, and then pull that and hold on and beat Alabama, my gosh, man. We're not even talking about this crap, but a colossal collapse against, South Carolina. You shouldn't be going on the road losing to that team. I mean, but TJ Finley's proven he can't beat anybody. And we'll dive into some spring game talk. We'll have Luke on later, I'm sure. I think he's traveled out to Arizona. He's in a different state every day. But I think he's out there with Truitt with his orientation at Arizona State. But I mean, again, that's what all this compounds on. We've seen enough of TJ Finley to know, and I haven't asked you your thoughts yet. We'll do that when we come back on Auburn's A-Day game, because I don't really need to see anymore. I mean, I really don't. And if Brian Harsin's really thinking that's who the guy is, then he probably is not long for the job. I mean, seriously. Up against our another break. Stay tuned. More Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Growing your business isn't just one thing. It's a million little things. Should you lease, rent, or own? How fast can you get that part? Does it fit the budget? That's what your local cat dealer is here for. With expert advice, flexible financing, and industry-leading equipment, you can get the job done day after day. Visit ThompsonCat.com, your compact equipment provider.
WOTM is the television provider for all Alabama High School Athletic Association championship events and special programs. WOTM is your home for the Super 7 football, state finals basketball, baseball and softball state championships, the AHSAA weekly show, and WOTM also produced the first ever football playoff show, Super 7 preview show, and reclassification reveal show. Your exclusive home for all things AHSAA is WOTM. Contact your local cable provider to request WOTM to your channel lineup.
You want the best opportunity to be successful in life. You deserve that opportunity. Well, you just happens to be in our motto, central to you, central to your success. Your future is right now. Don't wait. Make your dreams a reality by enrolling at Central Alabama Community College. Register today at cacc.edu.
Alex City Internal Medicine and Nephrology and Weight Loss Center provides optimum care for the whole person. Dr. Dimo Popov specializes in the prevention and diagnosis of high blood pressure, kidney disease, diabetes, and acute and chronic conditions. Our weight loss clinic offers lipo shots and a guide to healthy weight loss. Alex City Internal Medicine and Nephrology and Weight Loss Center, where lifestyle changes are made.
When the Lake Martin area wants country, it turns to Kalijah Country 97.5. Lake Martin's best country.
Goes like 1 margarita, 2 margarita, 3 margarita shot. And if the house just keeps on winning, I got a wild card up my sleeve. Now it's grandpa's never died.
Lake Martin's best country is on Kalijah Country 97.5.
Re-elect Richard LeGrand Sr., Lee County Commissioner, District 5. Why? Work with the Beauregard community with the EF4 tornado devastation to sort through debris, help restructure lives for the people that lost homes. Establish Juneteenth as a paid holiday in Lee County. a playground at Lochapoka to include 4 acres with a playground, service, organized trash collection on Lochapoka roadsides. Whether you vote absentee ballot or you go to the polls, please re-elect yours truly, Richard LeGrand Sr., Lee County Commissioner, District 5. Paid for by Friends of Richard LeGrand Sr.
For more than 40 years, Ingram Equipment Company has helped companies, towns, and cities with their dirtiest, most challenging jobs by providing the very best equipment and by helping them keep in tip-top working condition. IEC represents leading manufacturers such as Heil garbage truck bodies, Timco sweepers, Step pothole patchers, and many more. We proudly support all athletes and teams that compete across the state and wish them good luck this year. Ingram Equipment Company, ingramequipment.net.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. 256-234-6221. Got to go back and resume the conversation that we just had in the previous segment that, you know, Alan Green really kind of went out on a limb with Brian Harsin, and nobody saw it coming. The media had not said his name. Nobody had said his name. He wasn't on any list that any of us saw. And so when he was named, it took everybody by such surprise. So when the media and everybody started doing their research, they saw his record, they saw his pedigree, and they thought, man, maybe Alan Green's found the guy. You know, this was he'll come in and it's an outsider. It's not the typical stuff that you get from Alabama and Auburn all the time. And, you know, that's what finally saved Alabama was they broke the mold and they quit going with people that, you know, are connected to the program. They wanted fresh blood. Maybe I applauded him. Everybody on this program did, Alan Green, for going out and getting a guy and that nobody knew. And so, but fast forward 12 months, and now it looks like Alan Green and Brian Harsin are in the same canoe going down S Creek.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
you had to know. I'm sure they had to. You know, the administration had to let Alan Green know. You know, the fate of your tenure here is going to be tied to this. So you went against the grain a little bit, which, as you said, a lot of people, Auburn supporters, were in support of that because it went against the grain, and you didn't necessarily, as you said, get a Auburn tie. But
this was really about two factions. This was about the old heads, the power head, the money, wanting Kevin Steele, and Alan Green, as the athletic director, said, you know, you ain't gonna really tell me what to do. I'm gonna go out and do a search. And they go, okay, well, this is our guy, but, you know, you hire somebody else. And that's, I mean, it just sets up too perfect. I don't have to be behind the scenes to know how this played out. You can put the puzzle pieces together, Scott. You can look and see that things didn't go Auburn's way at the very end of the season. Recruiting wasn't stellar. So we know the kind of boosters Auburn has and the kind of boosters that all these Southeastern Conference teams have. There is no tomorrow. They want to act now. They want to do something. So there is no rash action. You know, everybody's like, I can't believe this is going on. I can, because we've seen it happen before several times at multiple schools. Because obviously money is looked at as no problem, as a minuscule object. They don't care how much they have to pay to get somebody out of here. You know, Auburn has burnt millions of dollars on coaches that never finished their contract and that are still getting paid. So they were about to add another one to the list. You know, it's almost like the U.S. Treasury just continuing to print money. I wonder, I'm about to begin to think that the U.S. Treasury and Auburn have a direct link because they can just print money and get people to leave. Well, man, can they hire us? I mean, just if they want to – look, I can go down and do as crappy a job as some of the guys that have been down there. I just need a good attorney, agent, to sign a contract with somebody that is going to be fired, Stephen Leith, or somebody that's about to retire and don't give a crap, obviously, Jay Googe, and walk out the door and, you're left holding the bag. But I do think that's kind of the mentality, and Auburn can, Andy just can't get over how much money Auburn blows. And I'm like, well, obviously it's not a problem. The guys that are making these decisions keep writing the check, so it doesn't matter. But, Scott, I think we inevitably, if we had to put I guess not a percentage on it, but if we had an outlook to how this thing's going to end, I don't think it's going to end.
I think
really
you're going to have a clean slate in the athletic department and the coaching staff based on how things are going now. Now, we could be surprised and, obviously.
Well, if some of those coaches left, I don't think anybody'd even know they were gone. I mean, if some of them, you got to know they're there first to know that they left. If it weren't for the Auburn coaches that are there right now that Brian Harsin retained and hired with Etheridge and Cadillac and then hiring Jimmy Brumbaugh, would there be a recruit? I mean, I'm just asking because I don't know who Eric Keesaw, Brad Beadle, Jeff Schmedding, and namely Brian Harsin has recruited. Can you tell me?
No, I mean, now I'll say this: if I was
the recent 4-star was Etheridge, the secondary,
and then the recruiting class, the other one was saved by Trevon Reed. So I mean,
you mentioned Trevon Reed, and then the other guy that we've got right now is the 4-star offensive lineman out of Auburn High School. Well, I can promise you, Eric Keesaw and Jeff Schmedding didn't go across town to get him. I mean, so I'm just being honest, man. I mean,
well, the way I see it, though, is I don't fault him for if I was moving across the country to a place where I know kind of how it works, or I've been explained to how it works, I'd want some comfort in knowing I've got some guys that have my back.
Well, he offered Keesaw the job 9 months ago, and he turned it down. So Dave just walked down the hall again because the guy he went and hired was there. Nobody ever saw him. I mean, I'm gonna say this because I don't think Jason in mind. I mean, I thought it was a basketball game, and I can't remember which game it was. And I called Jason and I said, well, what's going on? He said, well, we're all over at Auburn Arena.
Oh, it was a Saturday morning game.
Right.
Yeah. It was a big recruiting weekend.
To try to get a glimpse of this guy because ain't nobody ever seen him before. He's supposedly been hired a month. And, if he's going to be somewhere, he'd be here today. And, of course, he wasn't there. And then I think about 15 hours later, he announced he was gone. Again, how can you leave somewhere you never went to? I'm sure he got paid.
Yeah, he had to.
He didn't do anything. I mean, he didn't even show that. That's the kind of stuff that.
This has been probably.
Hey, and look, we didn't even talk about Mike Bobo and Derek Mason leaving and all that.
I mean, there's never the last 12 months have been probably the most, in terms of Auburn football at least, the most tumultuous I've ever seen it.
And speaking of how we got help being in this position, Gus Miles on, when we come back, I want to ask you a question about the new uniforms at Central Florida. Have you seen them?
I have not. I'll get a glimpse before we.
Well, we've officially turned the corner in this world. So stay tuned. More of the Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Hi, this is Brian Bice with Bice Motors. With our all-star lineup of Dodge trucks, Jeep, SUVs, and Chrysler cars, we offer the area team dedicated to making your next vehicle purchase a positive experience. Our sales team offers competitive pricing, and we back up all sales with a service department second to none. Bice Motors also offers the area's best selection of pre-owned vehicles. Visit Bice Motors at 2133 Cherokee Road in Alexander City.
Guaranteed lowest price. Buy it at Bice Motors.
You already know the power and reliability of a Mahindra tractor. Get ready to meet their ATV and UTV lines. Haul more and tow more. Do more. Reaching speeds up to 60 miles an hour. Models have a 12-inch ground clearance and the ability to haul up to 1,200 pounds. There's a Mahindra utility vehicle and a model specifically to get the job done. Test drive today at Lake Martin Tractor and Outdoor. Serving Tallapoosa, Coosa, Clay, and Talladega counties. 256-392-3613.
Hi, I'm Scott Blake.
I'm Angie Richardson, and we are the loan team here at Movement Mortgage.
Whether you're a first-time home buyer or you've gone through the process before,
Our mission is to help you move forward with the purchase of your future plans. Call me at 256-397-2771.
or call me at 256-794-1003.
Scott Blake, NMLS number 527945. Angie Richardson, NMLS number 216556. Movement Mortgage supports equal housing opportunity, NMLS number 39179. For licensing information, please visit NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Castelluccio Fine Italian Dining in downtown Alexander City is rapidly becoming the region's standard for Italian cuisine, as well as hand-cut filet mignon, fresh Gulf seafood, and the area's best Italian import wine selection. We offer true old-world charm with unmatched hospitality. Like Castelluccio Fine Dining on Facebook to keep up with daily lunch and dinner specials. Also new, we offer catering for your family and small business, so call and order. Castelluccio, downtown Alexander City, where the only thing that rivals the flavor is the dining experience.
You've dreamed about the perfect house, a place to call your own, and a place to not only stretch out, but to grow. Auto Owners protects your house because to you, it's home. That's simple human sense. Happy to help, man. I was just over there talking to myself anyway.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill. In Sunshine Heating and Air, Scott Hardy, Brett Pritchard here with you. All right, so the new day and age, the new fad, everything's about getting one up, right? Getting the attention on your team. A couple things that have happened this week. NIL deal talk by Nick Saban. I'll get your thoughts on that. I want to get Luke's thoughts, hopefully, on that at the top of the hour. But the QR code on the back of Central Florida's jersey that they'll don today, I think, in the spring game if they are able to play it. Give me your opening thoughts now that you've seen it. Then I'll talk. Look, I'm a marketing guy, so I understand, what the principle is. But I'll let you go.
Yeah, I think the concept behind it is really cool, and as you said, it does two things. One, at least for a day, you've got some media attention and people talking about your program.
So are they going to wear that during the season?
I would assume you'd have. I mean, I guess it would make more sense if you were doing it for the 8A or the 8A game where it's a little more, it's slower and things are more controlled and you had
so
time.
They going to pause and turn their back to the camera so everybody can pull their
See,
phone
that's
out?
the part of it I don't understand. Like, at what point? I mean, so now, two things. One, if I'm an offensive lineman, say, or whatever position, more times than not, the camera's not going to be on me. It's going to be on the quarterback. It's going to be on the receiver. So now you're creating dissension, which is what we've talked about the NIL doing. What it could do within a locker room is creating a hierarchy of who's getting what. But the camera can only follow however the play's going. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
It looks good on
it looks good. The concept looks cool.
On a photo. All right, Michael said, will changing coaches every 2 to 3 years ever get us past 6 wins? No, it won't. I mean, that's the problem. You think this guy's not good enough, so you get rid of him. You really, when you commit like this is exactly what Alabama went through when they couldn't figure out who they were going to hire to replace Mike Shula. And let me just kind of remind Alabama fans for a second that still like to make fun of Mike Shula, and they were glad. Nobody wanted that job when Mike Shula took it. Mike Shula had an opportunity to come back and help his school that he played for and that was really loved as a quarterback. And he inherited, a situation that wasn't the best, and nobody wanted that job at that time. And so he kind of was the buffer. And then when Mike Shula couldn't get it done, namely couldn't beat Auburn, then he had to go. Then they went through every Mike in the book. Dennis Franchione, Mike Price, they really looked desperate. I mean, everybody remembers. And then they sold out to get Nick Saban. It worked out. And looked like they were going to hire Rich Rodriguez. He had all but committed. His wife didn't want to come. So then, the rest is history. But here's the deal. That tells you right there that, in a nutshell, that flopping around and not having consistency, but making a bad choice and sticking with a bad choice isn't the answer either. That's the problem. It's a catch-22. How long is too long to let somebody try to turn the corner, but in the same light, you can't keep flipping and flopping every 2-3. Now, Auburn hasn't done that. Auburn's been fortunate enough to keep a guy 7, 8, 9 years, okay? But here's Brian Harsin, barely been there a year and a half, and has already been tried to be run out of town because he doesn't fit the mold, he doesn't fit in, whatever. Is all of this to try to get Kevin Steele to come back?
I think that narrative almost has to be done at this point. Like, if it was going to happen, it needed to have happened.
Now in retrospect, as much as I was anti-Kevin Steele, if I knew all this was going to happen as an Auburn guy, I just said, look, before you damage everything, just hire the man. Let him fall on his face, then we move on. If that's what it takes to appease the powers at B. Right?
This really, and I mean, this really all stems back to something that I thought that Auburn faltered on, which was when we gave the extension to, or when Auburn gave the extension to Gus Malzahn, when they thought that he may be leaving to go to Arkansas. And in my mind, I was like, there's no way that Auburn should ever be in a bidding war with Arkansas.
No, they
if
shouldn't.
Somebody wants to leave Auburn to go to Arkansas.
The perception of that's terrible anyway.
Yeah.
And look at what Arkansas's program was doing on top of it the last 10 years. It's been horrible. And so, hey, buddy, you've built up something here, and Auburn's going to continue to roll. If you want to go to Fayetteville, where it's next to impossible to win, go for it.
So that, I think, was the initial domino that started it.
No doubt.
And then
I totally agree.
Then you kind of position yourself where you almost have to just stay with Gus, but then you saw the writing on the wall where, we're just
they kept him one more year than they wanted to because of the buyout.
Yeah.
And then it finally just got so bad, and he's recruiting in the 40s, and they're like, man, this thing is about to fall apart.
And I don't think that I like Kevin Steele. I think Kevin Steele is a great defensive guy and was really good at his time at Auburn. Not sure that
you
that's
remembered his head coaching.
See, like, I know what his record was. Like, I understand that. I just don't know
Don't go look at Baylor.
I just don't think that that's the answer. Like, that seems like a short-term fix. And so these coaches – so, like, let's look at Alabama. Let's look at Georgia. Let's look at Florida. Let's look at
bottom line, Kevin Steele lobbied for the job. He got the right people on his side. Gus Malzahn was paranoid android, like everybody knew he was. He knew somebody was on his staff. He already knew it was that was trying to take him out. And Kevin Steele positioned himself to get the job, and the boss man didn't allow it to happen. So the other boss men, the money guys, said, all right, if it don't work out, it's your rear end too, and I think that's what's going to end up happening.
Yeah, and stability, I think, is all when you're talking about a program and, are you a premier program? Stability, I think, is a key component of that. And if Auburn is forced to go through another regime change, so that'd be 2 coaching hires basically in 2 years. More than likely, that means you have a new athletic director hired too.
Who you gonna get?
Yeah.
Who's
going to come in? That's because we're not going to be at Tennessee's level. We're not there yet. But you mess around and
starting
go
to try to get there.
Yeah, because with the recruiting and everything else, it'd be.
So Michael's point, what's changing coaches every 2 or 3 years going to get you? It's going to get you what you got right now. So do you have to give this guy a little time? I don't know that
he would have gotten it. I think had not the off-season stuff.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. That was totally fabricated, which was manufactured. Auburn helping themselves out so much, right?
Yeah, there's just you never know.
No, I do know. Up against the break. Stay tuned. More Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Whether it's Lake Martin, Lay Lake, or Logan Martin, boaters from all over the state of Alabama come to Alex City Marine, just off Highway 280 in Alexander City, Alabama, because it's worth the drive. With the best deals on unbeatable Suzuki outboards, Manitou and Landau Tritoons, and a great pre-owned inventory while they last. Alex City Marine is the pros the locals know. And no matter where you're from, when you're here, you're local to us. Alex City Marine, just off Highway 280 in Alexander City, Alabama. AlexCityMarine.com.
WOTM is the television provider for all Alabama High School Athletic Association championship events and special programs. WOTM is your home for the Super 7 football, state finals basketball, baseball and softball state championships, the AHSAA weekly show, and WOTM also produced the first ever football playoff show, Super 7 preview show, and reclassification reveal show. Your exclusive home for all things AHSAA is WOTM. Contact your local cable provider to request WOTM to your channel lineup.
You don't have to ask who, what, or why. Who's Diner is the go-to place for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Conveniently located at the corner of Highway 22 and 280 in Alex City, Who's Diner offers the best meals and the best deals in town. Try our fresh, made-from-scratch pancakes, chicken salad, Philly cheesesteak, or the Who Burger. It doesn't get any better than who? Who's Diner, of course, on the corner of Highway 22 and 280. Who's hungry?
Fast, fresh, and friendly. That's the Allen Brew Market mission to our customers on the go. Allen Brew Markets of Talladega County fuel your vehicle and you with the best coffee, drinks, snacks, and food so you can get your day on the fast track. Allen Brew Markets are always convenient with Sylacauga locations on Main Avenue, Highway 280, and Old Birmingham Highway. Allen Brew Markets has everything for the family on the go, and we're always brewing up great specials. Fast, fresh, and friendly. Our guarantee to you.
The same professionals you've trusted with your urgent care is now your primary health provider, Main Street Family Care. We provide annual physical exams as well as monitoring health conditions such as high blood pressure, diabetes, asthma, and more. All major insurances accepted, Medicaid, Medicare, and have self-pay options to accommodate everyone. See us in Alex City, just across from Walmart. Your care is our primary concern.
Main Street Family Urgent Care. Heal better, feel better fast.
Why is Sarah Automotive Group on Highway 280 in Sylacauga the place for the best deals on your new ride? 3 compelling reasons. 1. With 3 full new car dealers on one lot, you get the best in comparison and incentives on Fords, Hondas, and Nissans. Unmatched selection. 2. Sarah pays over market value for your trade to maintain East Central Alabama's best pre-owned vehicle selection and sale. And 3. The Sarah Automotive price won't be beat and delivers lower payments and huge value on your next buy. Shop online or on Highway 280 in Sylacauga.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown. Short segment coming up here as we head to the top of the hour break. Again, I think a lot of good discussion on what we just talked about, but I think the reality of it is the only thing, there's only one or two things that are going to happen. Brian Harson's going to be able to turn this thing around. I said this on the Auburn Blitz yesterday. We had several calls and people sending messages about this, that, and the other, and had Terry called and it's like, look, man, you know, pounding Brian Harsin, blah, blah. And I said, here's the deal. It's Brian Harsin and this team and those coaches in that locker room. And the rest of us don't count. None of this matters, really. I said, now, butts and seats and, you know, the income and keeping the program going, yes, we do matter there. But trying to get this thing turned around and get the focus, all this jabbering and talking means nothing. It shouldn't mean anything. They shouldn't be paying any attention. They're the only ones that are going to dictate their fate, I guess. So does Brian Harsin have enough about him to get this team to come together, to accomplish goals, to win 8 games this year, to be to prove to everybody that this roster isn't as depleted as everybody thinks it is, and that this offensive line, because of its veteran leadership, may be a strong suit for this team. That's the stuff he's got to do. That's what he gets paid to do. At the end of the day, coup or not in coup, that's what he gets paid to do, is to do his job and to try to get this team turned around. I don't know if he can do it or not. That's the question.
Yeah, and if you're him, as hard as it may be, you have to dismiss what took place, because ultimately you're fighting for your job, and quite possibly your professional career.
There's
going
damage
forward.
that's been done,
Yeah.
irreparable damage.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, and so it's one of those things where I don't know. I obviously the relationship between he and the administration probably needs some supporters of the program needs to be kind of mended there. But
right.
Because what happens if he does go 9-3? So now all of that negative talk.
Isn't this kind of similar to Tommy Tuberville?
Mm-hmm.
The 03 to 04 season had him run out on a limb. Basically had neck brace Petrino. You're up there on the tarmac, and meanwhile, he just beat Alabama, and the fans said, "No, you're not running Coach Tuberville off." And comes back in 04 and does what he does. I mean,
now at least in 03 though, it wasn't records were similar, but it wasn't the way that season ended.
No,
was a little different.
But
though.
I'm just saying from an outside.
Oh yeah, okay.
The forces trying to get rid of a guy that'd been there since '99, thinking, well, this ain't gonna work.
Can you imagine what Twitter would, if Twitter had been around for that type of scenario, like in 04, if we had Twitter the way it is now?
Oh man,
how crazy it would have been. I think about that sometimes, about some of the things that have happened and how the social media world would have.
Well, look at how social media has affected some of these things.
Mm-hmm. That's what does it mainly. I mean, because basically the narrative gets spun in a way that
all of that Brian Harsin stuff was exploded because of social media. Right.
Yeah. And nobody knew anything. And so this is one of those times where you do have to trust. This is the importance of beat writers, where those are really the only people on the ground who know the program inside and out, know the personalities.
But then in this day and age, they're limiting beat writers and what they can see and what they can be around.
That's true. That's true.
Right?
It is. And
I mean, we talk to our guys all the time, and they get in for the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, what does that go
and
do?
Nothing. That's why they let them in during that time, because there ain't nothing to see. Brian Harsin has caught flack in defense of him for a second. Was it Goodman that wrote the article or the post about him handing the hats out? Making a big deal about. It's like every time he turns around, he can't do anything right. But partly I guess that's on him for not understanding the lay of the land of what he was coming into. Sometimes your eyes see big dollar signs, but coming to the SEC with big dollar signs, there's a huge responsibility, one that many people can't stomach, of having to put up with beat writers, the way they handle situations. Every single thing you do is scrutinized. From the time you get up to the time you go to bed and everything in between is scrutinized by everybody in this conference. And it is such a meat grinder of what you got to do to win and be successful. Some people may think they are cut out for the job, but they don't really realize until they get here that, man, they may be over their head. And I'm just saying that partly may be part of the issue with Brian Harsin, that he didn't come out and say it, and he's nobody's ever going to come out and say, man, this job is just too big for me. I didn't realize. But maybe at night when he's laying in the bed, he's thinking, man, I've stepped off into something. But the first part of the year, that didn't seem to be the case. They had just gone on the road, beat Arkansas, number 12 in the country, and you're like, man, you saw South Carolina, Mississippi State left on the in a cream puff. You're thinking, man, they got 9 wins locked up for sure. They can win another game.
Winning cures all. But to your point,
he
there's
beat
a
LSU
big difference.
For the first time in 20-something years. I mean, there were big milestones in the first half. Barely lost to Penn State. Really a harebrained play coming out of the gate in the second half cost them that game. But you felt good about the program. You're like, man, this guy's got this thing on solid ground. I've never seen a collapse.
Yeah. And, not that this played a part in the way the season ended. But there is a big difference coming from Boise, Idaho to Auburn, Alabama, where if you're the coach at Alabama or Auburn, outside of maybe the governor, and even in some cases probably more so than the governor, you're the most recognizable person in the state. So you have to know that everything you do is under a microscope.
Right. They left out the COVID thing.
That's
Message immediate. Man, I could have there's a list of just.
That's how it started.
It's tough, man. It's just, but the winning thing, people, like, man, he's got his stuff together. It's just crazy. It's just really wild how it kind of, and maybe all this stuff finally piled up, and the weight of it all caused that collapse. Maybe the players suffered from all that too.
That's true.
Up against the top of the hour break. Stay tuned. An hour left here on Saturday Sports Countdown.
Hi, this is Brian Bice with Bice Motors. With our all-star lineup of Dodge trucks, Jeep, SUVs, and Chrysler cars, we offer the area team dedicated to making your next vehicle purchase a positive experience. Our sales team offers competitive pricing, and we back up all sales with a service department second to none. Bice Motors also offers the area's best selection of pre-owned vehicles. Visit Bice Motors at 2133 Cherokee Road in Alexander City.
Guaranteed lowest price. Buy it at Bice Motors.
WOTM is the television provider for all Alabama High School Athletic Association championship events and special programs. WOTM is your home for the Super 7 football, state finals basketball, baseball and softball state championships, the AHSAA weekly show, and WOTM also produced the first ever football playoff show, Super 7 preview show, and reclassification reveal show. Your exclusive home for all things AHSAA is WOTM. Contact your local cable provider to request WOTM to your channel lineup.
I'm Jimmy Goree with Goree's Furniture. We would like to invite you to come shop our huge selection of furniture. But if you don't have time, we have over 2,000 items you can have shipped directly to your home. Go to GoreesFurniture.com, look for 48-hour quick ship. Shop, click, ship, it's just that easy. You can shop us here, or you can shop us online, only at Gorees Furniture.
Your expressway to saving.
If you haven't been to Big B Barbecue in Alex City, then you're missing the best barbecue around. Big B has everything from the best pulled or chopped pork, chicken, and beef to cheeseburgers and grilled chicken salads. Bring your friends and family out for a great dinner and sit outside on our beautiful patio, or sit inside and enjoy your meal by the fireplace. So come in and join us and enjoy the best barbecue in the area only at Big B Barbecue, located on Highway 22 West in Alex City.
You want the best opportunity to be successful in life. You deserve that opportunity. Well, you just happens to be in our motto, central to you, central to your success. Your future is right now. Don't wait. Make your dreams a reality by enrolling at Central Alabama Community College. Register today at cacc.edu.
Welcome back, everyone, to the second hour of the Saturday Sports Countdown. Brett Pritchard, Scott Hardy here with you till 9 o'clock. A rain-soaked Saturday and Sunday. I want to go to the phone lines, welcome in our co-host, Luke Robinson, from all the way on the other side of the country. Not raining where you are, Luke. Still waiting for the sun to come up, I think. So glad that you got up a little early for us and joined us this morning.
Yeah, I get up a little early every day, but yeah, I got up early today, and I mean, it's beautiful out here in Arizona. It really is, and they're in the middle of, they're like Las Vegas. They're in the middle of a mega drought, and you know, water is going to be an issue out here. So they would love to have just one day
of what we get,
what Alabama's having right now.
Yeah, we live in a rainforest, and they live in a desert. So maybe we could funnel some of that and help them out. But hey, Luke, I want to jump in, and first of all, I know you heard Nick Saban this week, and you and I probably have been the two most on our program that have just said, look, we're not saying that we want to change it. We know there's nothing we can do, but doesn't mean we've got to like the current setup of college football and where this thing's going. And, you know, and I think the problem is it's not that we don't want student athletes to be compensated, but maybe it's just the carte blanche, just wide open, a la carte, just do what you want to do, get what you want to do, or get what you can out of this thing. Nick Saban basically came out and said, at this pace, the current state of college football is not sustainable. I agree with him. I think he's right. And then, okay, I heard some people say, well, what a hypocrite from a guy that makes all the money he makes. And I quickly in a group said, kind of fired back and said, look, Nick Saban's 70 years old, 71. He has proven himself. He worked his way up. He didn't get paid millions of dollars as a GA and as a coach. He earned his stripes in the contracts he's made and what he's made back at that university. I mean, you know, somebody's always going to take a shot at somebody, but I agree with him on this. And I think right now everybody's got to get this thing figured out or we are going to be in a mess.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, it's whenever I saw something on Twitter the other day. That there was a very left-leaning side that was attacking the phrase fiscally conservative and socially liberal. And they were saying, you know, what you're really saying is, hey, you know, I don't really care about people who have it less fortunate than I am, but I hope they can work their way out of it. And that's not really what it is. And I think the same thing with Nick Saban. When Nick Saban says something, if you don't like Nick Saban, you're going to say, oh, what a hypocrite, what a jackass. It doesn't matter what he says. If he says Christmas is an awesome holiday, oh, well, you're just downplaying the other holidays. Nick Saban, he's got his flaws, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, he genuinely, and I mean this sincerely, he cares about college football. This is his baby. I mean, he has been immersed in college football his whole life. And he cares about it, and he's looking around and going, "This can't work. It's just not going to work." And it doesn't mean I'm scared of competition. Because Brett, you made a good point. He's 70-something years old. What does he care? I mean, he care. What would he care about competition? He's not going to be dealing with a lot of these guys very soon, and his legacy is so cemented. It doesn't matter what happens. So for him to take the stand of, hey, I think everybody needs to pay attention to what's happening here. He's not saying, I don't want kids to get paid. I don't want kids to be free labor. He's not saying, I want it to go back to 1970. He's saying we have gone from, you know, basically it wasn't that long ago, 5-10 years ago, when everybody was saying, always using the terms, best team money can buy whenever you were talking about your rival. You were always saying, that's the best team money can buy, ha, ha, ha. Well, now that's literally what you're going to be playing. And the funny thing is, it's not really even an insult anymore. And I don't mind. I'm a big proponent of you got to let some free market things happen for sure. You've got Florida's always going to have advantages over Utah as a state in terms of football. Texas is always going to have advantages over Wyoming as a state in terms of football. So you can't just say everybody gets this much money, everybody gets paid this much, and expect even results, because there are more football players in Florida, California, Alabama, Georgia, Texas than there are in Montana and Washington State and Maryland. They're better football players around, so proximity has something to do with it too. But we spent zero time. We as a collective college football loving group, meaning the NCAA, the coaches, the players, everybody, we spent zero time trying to figure out the best plan and working it out. We just Congress basically said, hey, the NCAA, you can't do what you're doing anymore. So the NCAA, which is supposed to be our governing body, threw up its hands and said, okay, well, y'all figure it out. Well, that's kind of like saying, you know what it reminds me of? Like if you have kids and you've got some 6-year-old kids and they come to you one day and go, look, Mom, this is ridiculous. You're making us go to bed at 6 o'clock every night while you go out. You're making us go to bed at 6 o'clock. And the parents go, I got an idea. You just parent yourself. Well, there's a happy medium in there somewhere. I mean, there's a place in there where you go, okay, maybe you don't need to go to bed at 6 o'clock. Maybe you need to go to bed at 8 o'clock. And just make sure your homework's done. And make sure you eat vegetables and all those positive things. But you do need to go to bed earlier. You can't just stay up till midnight when you're 6 years old. You can't do that. And I think college football is the same way. Now we've got it where it's just everybody go get what you want to. And look, it's going to work itself out because things always work themselves out. But when the dust settles, what you're going to have is some of these other smaller programs that have been an integral part of the college football family. They're not going to be able to survive. It's just not going to look the same. And as Nick Saban said this too, everybody thought this would even the playing field, that if everybody can pay, and if everybody can do, it'll even the playing field. It's not. It's worse. It's a lot worse because the haves are always going to outbid the haves not because they care more, it means more, and they have more money, and they have more resources. So it's not going to even out. It's going to be a lot more lopsided. And it goes back to every time you try to create a rule to even things out, things get even more imbalanced because smarter people are running the game versus the people who are making the rules. That's what I've always thought.
Well, and to that point, Luke, I mean, a lot of this, especially the initial legislation, was due to a moral panic. So, I mean, there really was no justification or reasoning as to how this was going to work. But when you're speaking about the Floridas and the Texas compared to the Utahs and Montanas, I mean, if you look at the top 10 to 15, 20 programs even, I mean, you're probably looking at somewhere between $50 to $120 million a year in athletic revenue, and then also throw in whatever the university generates from that as well. Those same 15 teams are the same teams that have been competing for a national championship, and really of those 15, it's been about 7. So all this did was just make it – I don't see how it damages the game or, creates an unfair competitive advantage because the advantage has always still been with the top 7 to 10 teams anyway. The playoff has had the same 6 to 8 teams in contention for it. So Utah or a Montana, whoever, they weren't going to be in competition for a national championship anyway. So all this did was make it more competitive for your top 15 programs. So I don't see the point of how it's actually damaging the game because the cream of the crop.
Here's where I disagree with you. I think you're right about the top side. I think the top side is going to still be the same. And look, I'm not trying to step on a toe. I'm not trying to hurt feelings here, but I'm looking at it look at someone like Auburn, okay? We think of Auburn as, Auburn's historically pretty doggone powerful. But you know where they are on the hierarchy of college football on just about every metric? They're about number 18 to number 14, somewhere in that range. So that Auburn, to me, has as much chance to get hurt as anybody because you're right. The top 7 to 15 teams are going to be just fine. They're going to be better than ever. But it's the teams after that, the Purdue's, the Iowas. I'm trying to pick some out. Even somebody like an Arizona State, where I am today. I think those are the teams. And in Auburn, Auburn is more susceptible to being really hurt by this than, say, a Texas A&M that's got resources out the yin-yang. They've got all the money in the world, and now they're hungry, and they believe they should be there. So they've got all this stuff. And Auburn's got some of that. And Auburn's got more tradition than Texas A&M. There's no denying. But it could quickly be surpassed by the other stuff Texas A&M has now and the way the system is now. So I think you're right. The top 7 to 12 to maybe 15 teams will be just fine. Ohio State's not going anywhere. Alabama is not going anywhere. But the middle of the pack teams are really going to be hurt. And what this is very reminiscent of is a lot of times when you try and have these societal changes, and everybody's like, yeah, we got to fix it so the 1%ers get hurt. Well, it turns out the 1%ers are always fine. Mm-hmm. It's the middle class that gets squeezed. And I think that we are really going to hurt the middle class of college football and even the upper middle class of college football. And to me, that is an integral part of college football. I mean, I love watching Wisconsin take on Iowa. I think that's a great little rivalry. That's a lot of fun. But those are 2 teams that are historically about mid-teens of college football hierarchy. So that's where I'm saying college football is going to get hurt. I mean, look again, the Ohio State's going to be just fine. Don't worry about that. They're going to be fine no matter what system you put into place. But when you start putting it these other systems, it's going to be a problem for some of these other teams, and those are the ones that going to get squeezed out. And eventually, I don't want to be left with just 10 teams playing college football.
Hey, Luke, let's pause right there and come back. I want to ask a couple more questions in regard to this in our discussion because I think we're making valid points here. I think it's all relevant to what we're talking about. Up against another break. Stay tuned. More of the Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
A&M Plumbing, A&M Plumbing, service at its best when you need it most.
From the smallest drippy faucet to drain cleaning to water heater replacement to gas lines to total systems replacement, A&M Plumbing handles it all. Visit amplumbing.net today for the experienced, licensed, and insured pros at A&M Plumbing.
A&M Plumbing, A&M Plumbing, service at its best when you need it most.
They say we live in an age of big data, where computers and fancy algorithms are supposed to know you best. But at Country Financial, we know helping you own your future requires, well, something much bigger. Contact your local Country Financial representative and start planning for your future with a personal touch.
Okay, somebody's not wearing their seatbelt.
I don't wear seat belts. Might wrinkle my shirt.
That's okay. I'm sure they can iron it before the funeral.
What funeral?
Yours. Almost 70% of people who die in car crashes aren't wearing a seatbelt.
Okay. There. You happy?
Just happy to be alive.
Seatbelts. It's hard to live without them. Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
Life is a sequence of little successes. The story of my Southern Union success began the day I walked on campus, making new friends, mastering a new skill, reaching a personal goal, the encore performance, the first date, the internship, and now, soon, the dream job. That's the story of my Southern Union success. Register for classes and get ready to watch your Southern Union story come to life.
It's time to crank for bank. April 1st through July 4th, you'll be fishing Lake Martin for a chance to win big. With a $100 registration, you'll be fishing for $1 million from Big Fish Real Estate Group and Point Broadband, a 2022 Bass Cap Bass Boat from Russell Marine, 2022 Skeeter Bass Boat from Ashley Outdoors, a 2022 Chevy truck from Lake Martin Cabinetry and Allen Embry Premier Chevrolet, or catch a $1,500 tagged fish. Brought to you in part by Dunning Roofing, Lake Martin Tourism, Mortgage Pro, Fishing Chaos, and Lake Broadcasting. Visit Crank, the number 4 bank.com for details.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill. Sunshine, Heating, and Air. Luke Robinson still on the phone with us, kind of continuing this discussion. Luke, okay, so I guess we all understand that we don't understand this thing. I guess that's the whole crux of the matter. So how do you start trying to wrangle it in is what we've all been discussing. You and I use the analogy toothpaste out of the tube all the time, and unfortunately, I think they stepped on the toothpaste, and it just all came out at one time. I don't know how you pick the pieces up once you've got them out, and so there has to be some type of regulation that's put in place. I think everybody's starting to take a step back and see, okay, we're all good with NIL, these players, but this is just rogue. This is not working. You got guys walking off fields because NIL deals are separate than the school and all this kind of stuff. There's got to be some type of regulation.
And that's true, and we all believe that. I believe it, you believe it, but think about it. I'm trying to always come up with an analogy
The NFL has regulations. I mean, that's the thing that not to cut you off, but the NFL does it better than anybody in the world, and they've got regulations. They even have to have, things, caps on, salary caps and things like that to make things somewhat manageable. If not, it's just everybody free willy-nilly doing what they want to do.
Well, and while the NFL is the most popular league in the country by a long shot, I mean, I still see a lot of issues there, but I think that we all live with it. But see, college can't be by nature like the NFL. Everybody always says, why isn't it more like the NFL? But by its nature, it can't, because it's so different. We have these tie-ins to these various universities that most of us, I'm not even sure I could say most of us, a lot of us went to. A lot of people go to Alabama, go to Auburn, go to Penn State, go to Michigan, and you have this love for them. Or maybe just by their own circumstances, they can't go to that university. Maybe they didn't get in, maybe they don't have the money, maybe they don't have transportation, but they have an affinity for it because they're from that state or from that area, or they know an uncle that went there, or whatever. And the passion for college football is greater than the fanaticism for pro football. I've always believed that. Now, I love pro football and college football. I love high school football, Brett, but high school football's got its own set of problems too. But I'm coming back to what I was saying was I'm trying to find something that this is all analogous to. And I think in the end, what we all have to do is say, okay, we need to put a system together. And every time you put a system together, somebody's going to be unhappy. Like if we say, okay, you can only spend X amount of dollars. The school is going to give players $3,000 a month. Every player of every team, every sport, I guess. And some schools are going to say we can't afford that. And then I think we're going to have to be okay with some schools not being able to afford that. And then there are going to be some schools, and they may have to give up playing football. We're just going to have to be okay with that. And then there are going to be some schools like Texas A&M that say, hey, I can pay 10 times that per month. And if I pay 10 times that, it's better for me because I'll get better players. Well, we're going to have to be okay with, even though the fact that Texas A&M can do that, we're not going to allow them to do that. And we're going to have to convince them, for the good of the sport, they've got to rein it back in just a little bit. And it's tough to convince people of this. It's like any other issue. It's like the death penalty. Some people are like, hey, if you commit a heinous crime, you should be put to death for that. And then some people have the great point of, if we put one person to death who didn't deserve it, who was innocent, it's not worth it. That's a decent point. Are you okay with that risk, or are you so staunch in your belief that, hey, the punishment must meet the crime? We have to convince people to live within this arena that we're going to set up for them. And it's going to be very tough now because, see, what we went from was something centered on more austerity. It was a little bit more tough. I mean, the NCAA they dug their own grave here when they do things like they'd go to some places and just put them through the ringer, and they'd go to other places and they can't find a thing. And they wouldn't use the same kind of methods and means throughout and be fair about this. And now we've gone to a system where there is no holding back anything. And they can put into place things like, hey, you can't use NIL to entice students to come here. But my God, of course you're going to. You could. There's a million ways around that. And look, there's a kid from Louisville a wide receiver who just transferred from Louisville, and he's visiting Alabama this weekend. A week ago, before I even knew who this kid was, I saw something on a Louisville board about a guy saying, hey, so-and-so is going to leave. Tyler Harrell's going to transfer out of Louisville, and he's probably going to Alabama. And everybody's like, what are you talking about? That can't even – what do you mean? And they were like, Alabama loves what they see in him, and he wants him to come there. And they were like, wasn't that tampering that, somehow? And somebody was like, I guess. I mean, but what if Bryce Young called the kid instead of Nick Saban? What if Bryce Young called and said, man, why don't you come to Alabama? And the kid said, you know what? That's a great idea. I get more recognition. I get to play with a better quarterback. I get to play a better schedule.
And that's happening. I mean, Luke, you know that's happening. We all know that's happening. And that's the problem, is that there's a way to get around everything now. Basically, there are no rules. You can't pinpoint on it. You can say, and Bruce Pearl talked at the Lake Martin Auburn Club last year, and he said, I technically can't go out and do it, but and he pointed out the crowd, but you can go out and talk to the players. And that's exactly what this is. I mean, there is nobody to get anymore. You have to be completely and totally stupid to get caught doing something wrong now, because I don't know what wrong is. I think that's great strategy, that the better teams go out and try to cherry pick the better players on mediocre teams. It's a smart move. I'd be doing it.
It's Brett. It's more efficient than actually recruiting a high school player.
Absolutely, it
is. They're going to be at the next level now.
Absolutely. And look, Auburn is perfect example in basketball. Auburn's team was totally different this year, and this team that won the conference was basically Bruce Pearl and whoever the powers that be going out and cherry picking out of the portal and getting players that were either at smaller schools or at a school and not getting the results they wanted. So he gets them to come, and that's going to continue to happen for Bruce Pearl. It's going to continue to happen for Nick Saban in football. This is the situation that we're talking about. You use the players on the roster to go out and get the better players to come play with them.
Yeah, and I know you're going to go to break in a second, but see, that's the whole thing. Do the players deserve the freedom of choice that all other students have? Like if you're, look, my son Truett, I'm here at Arizona State with him. He decided the other day I want to change majors. So he's changing majors really quickly and he's moving on. But if he wanted to go from Arizona State to Arizona, he just does it. I mean, we just make it happen. And so should a football player be able to do that too? And I think what we have to do is convince the players as a whole, look, maybe we come up with a system of you can transfer once. And then there has to be some kind of consequence. Because, see, the whole system depends on all of this working together. And maybe one of the concessions is, okay, coaches can, when they can only coach, let's say if you're coaching the SEC, you can't, if you get hired by another SEC team, you have to wait a year or something. I mean, I'm throwing out ideas that may not sound great. I'm trying to throw out ideas to say, I think some of the players look around and they want some concessions too. The players have always felt like we're the only ones conceding anything. And now the players have no concessions. They get whatever they want. So I feel like the truth lies in the middle, and the betterment for the sport lies in the middle. And the coaches also have to agree with this too and go, even though we're adults and even though we're out there making a career, it's a bad look when a coach goes from, I don't know, Mississippi use Tommy Tuberville as an example. It's a bad look when Tommy Tuberville goes from Mississippi to Auburn after claiming, hey, I'm leaving here in a pine box. And then the next year he's gone to Auburn. That's not a good look, and the players look at that as complete hypocrisy, and I don't blame them. And while we all accept it, because in the real world you can go from IBM to Dell in a heartbeat, unless you have a non-compete clause, maybe we need to figure out some kind of non-compete clause in all the college football. Like, hey, you can't go from Mississippi to Auburn as a coach without sitting out a year two. That's not a bad idea, because the players need to know y'all value our opinions and our freedoms just like your own.
I think you're right. I think the discussion we're having here, and I know we got to go, but the discussion we're having here is what the NCAA and the power brokers didn't have. They didn't sit down and say, okay, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. We need to all be equal on this thing. If a coach can just up and hightail out, why can't a player do that? And I think we've tried to bring that more toward the center, but now you just said, no, I'll tell you what we'll do. We just won't have any rules, and everybody can go do whatever they want to do. That don't fix anything either. If anything, that makes it worse. So now they've got to bring all of this in. It's like taking a 500 or 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle and just throwing it all on the floor and saying, okay, y'all go to it. Let's start putting this thing back together, and that's kind of how I've visualized it. But we could talk probably another 30 to 45 minutes on this thing. But we're going to watch this thing over the next several years take some type of direction. And
yeah, I'm afraid, Brett, it's going to be tough to ask anybody to give up anything at this point, because the players are always going to point to, hey, you've been doing this for so long, we deserve our shot in the sun. It's going to be difficult to get any players to give up anything that they've been getting lately, just like it's going to be difficult to get any coaches to say something about, hey, I want to be able to coach wherever the hell I want to coach. Well, there just has to be some universal concessions, and there's nothing more difficult than convincing everybody to give up just a little bit for the betterment of everybody else.
That's right. That's the society we have created and that we live in now. So nobody wants to make any concessions, and we're going to have to live with it. So, well, Luke, appreciate you staying on a couple of segments and going over a little bit later on this one. Have fun out there. Happy Easter to you guys, and be safe coming home.
All right, happy Easter, guys.
All right, thank you so much. We're going to get to break. Stay tuned. More of the Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Whether it's Lake Martin, Lay Lake, or Logan Martin, boaters from all over the state of Alabama come to Alex City Marine, just off Highway 280 in Alexander City, Alabama, because it's worth the drive. With the best deals on unbeatable Suzuki outboards, Manitou and Landau Tritoons, and a great pre-owned inventory while they last. Alex City Marine is the pros the locals know. And no matter where you're from, when you're here, you're local to us. Alex City Marine, just off Highway 280 in Alexander City, Alabama. AlexCityMarine.com.
Sign Source is your local vendor for commercial and residential sign manufacturing and installation. We offer all kinds of lighted and non-lighted signage, from retail signs, LED message centers, event banners, vehicle wraps, the whole spectrum. We also offer service and repair on existing signs, as well as retrofitting to LED or installation of outsourced signage. We have the knowledge necessary to fulfill all of your signage needs in the short or long term. Visit signsourcenow.com to get started.
Heritage South Credit Union in Alexander City is your community credit union, and they have been for over 80 years. Heritage South Credit Union proudly serves Tallapoosa, Coosa, Lee, Chambers, Randolph, and Chilton counties. From checking to business accounts, to share savings to club accounts, to their kids club and investments. Visit them online at myhscu.com. Heritage South Credit Union, your community credit union for 80 years. Federally insured by NCUA.
Planting season is here, and the Potting Shed Garden Center is happy to give you professional landscaping advice when it comes to planting your shrubs and trees. Auburn's best kept secret will have it all this fall. Mums, pansies, pumpkins, and much more. All in an array of colors and sizes, along with beautiful pots and containers, indoor plants, and a great selection of other gardening gifts. It's all at the Potting Shed Garden Shop, where natural elements reign supreme. Located on the corner of Moore's Mill and Society Hill Road in Auburn.
Now is the best time to sell your current home, as it's a seller's market, meaning that on average you can get up to 96% of your asking price. Who's the most aggressive and most experienced to help you sell your home?
Hi, I'm Rhonda Gaskins, broker Century 21 Lake Area Realty in the Lake Martin area. We are getting a 96% return on our listing price, the sales price in this area. Call me today and let me go to work for you. 256-749-3644.
GillsOpelika.info. Get pre-approved in minutes online at GillsOpelika.info for a pre-owned car, truck, or SUV from Gills Auto Sales, 1430 Gateway Drive in Opelika.
Welcome back, everyone. A short segment here. We ran over, so but, just to kind of sum this up, because we won't have a couple segments left on the show, Scott, when we come back. It's prototypical NCAA of what we always talk about. They're so rash, one way, one extreme or another. Don't do anything over here, just overboard on over here, and I think Luke's points were all valid as far as I think the discussion between the three of us was really good. I think that's a discussion that the NCAA didn't have, and that they just said, well, crap, here we go. Y'all want to do it this way, then let's do it. It's almost like they did it in spite. They said, okay, y'all want to criticize us. You want to hammer us for trying to regulate. Well, I'll tell you what we're about to do. We're about to just take all the fences down. We're taking all the barriers down. Everybody can go out here and do whatever the heck they want to do.
How now, are you being hyperbolic there, or do you really think like, hey?
I think that's exactly what they did. I think they got pissed off. I think they said, okay, if y'all think y'all can do it better, do it.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to regulate, but you didn't. Every time we did something, and they deserved the criticism. They deserved it, but that's what they said is that every time we try to do something, you criticize it. It's not harsh enough.
I hadn't thought about it that
or
way.
It's too harsh. So y'all go for it. Y'all take your best shot. I want to bring up a point that you brought up about this money thing. Auburn, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, the Forbes top programs. Auburn was what, 7th?
Yeah.
Maybe higher. I'd have to pull it up.
It's fluctuated, but they've always been consistent.
There's only a few $1 million difference.
Yeah.
Okay, in the scheme of things, but definitely a top 10 most valuable program in the country, according to Forbes. As far as the football program, not talking about the athletic part. This is just the football program only. Okay, so like you said, the Yankees. And I know this is not the best comparison, but it's a comparison, okay? The Rays being a fairly brand new franchise in Major League Baseball comparable to the Yankees who have been around since inception, they can win a World Series too. Mm-hmm. The Florida Marlins did it, and they did it by going out and literally saying, I'm just going to buy everybody, and then we'll take it and sell it off, and we ain't going to win 20 games next year. I kind of feel like Auburn does that a lot.
That's a good. That's probably a better comparison.
But here's what your point is saying, that in 2022, if you're one of the top 6 to 7 most valuable football in revenue and everything that comes in, why aren't you competing for a national championship? Tell me. There aren't near the regulations anymore that you're having the barriers that you're fighting through. And Luke's right, and I think I'm right too in saying that the haves only are going to continue to have, that the portal didn't make it better for schools 20 through 70. It made it better on schools 1 through 15 because Louisville got a top player, ends up at Alabama. Vanderbilt, best lineman, leaves and goes to Alabama. Why wouldn't you want to do that if you've gone and proven yourself? It's like he said, that's a heck of a lot better than going out and recruiting a high school kid that's a 5-star. It's based all off potential. We know the kid from Vanderbilt's a hell of an offensive lineman. We know the kid from Louisville is an outstanding receiver. So they've already auditioned. We knew that Zep Jasper was a great defensive player. We knew that Wendell Green can get his shot where he wants it. I mean, that's the thing that you look at.
So that point too, and you're starting to see a lot, like high school guys, your fringe guys. I'm not going to say, but a low 4-star, 3-star kid that would have still gotten that offer, you would have been recruited a little bit differently.
It's hurt them.
It's
hurt them.
Yeah. So that now some of the residual effects of what we're talking about on some of this, I don't think everybody thought it through. And there does need to be some attention given to some type of regulation. And I'm with Luke. Most times in a free market system, it's going to correct itself. But
this is going to have some help getting corrected. I don't see this thing just natural. I think if no attention is given to this, it's only going to get worse. The balloon's only going to expand, and then it's going to burst eventually. Then when you're trying to pick the pieces up, what happens there? I just think, and I'm going to say this, and this will be the last thing I'll say on this, and we'll go to break. Wouldn't you think after what we just talked about, if you're a top program, you've been cemented up there, valuable, money-wise, revenue-wise, it'd be easier for you to recruit now?
That seems to be the logical.
With the limitations nowhere
and that's
near.
kind of where I was getting to. Like, if you're Auburn, like this should have been in your wheelhouse. You finally got a way that you could really compete
because you
Auburn,
had
Alabama.
the money.
Yeah,
but maybe you've tried to. you've been caught in the cookie jar a couple times, and you've tried not to do things nefarious to get worse punishment. But now you've let the horses are running free now. There is no fence to keep them in. I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah. I don't have an answer. Up against another break. Stay tuned. More of the Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Brubaker Motors in Montgomery is the largest and fastest growing used car dealership in the River Region. You can absolutely get a better buy at Brubaker. It's better at Brubaker.com.
Brubaker, Brubaker.
You can absolutely get a better buy at Brubaker.
BREWBAKER. BREWBAKER.com.
It's better at Brubaker.com.
At C&T Electric, our clients are our priority. For the safety and security of your family and home, our technicians are professionally trained, drug tested, background checked, and wear uniforms with name tags. We're proud to have served the Elk City, Dadeville, and Lake Martin areas for the past 10 years. Give us a call at 256-234-0007 for all your electrical service and repair needs, or visit us on the web at www.cntelectricllc.com and spell out the word "and."
L&G Ad Agency is the go-to vendor for all your digital and print marketing needs. We have in-house production for all projects, including graphic design, web design, social media marketing, videography, and print marketing. Our video production is up to industry standard with modern 4K cameras and drone capabilities. We pride ourselves in client-committed relationships, and every project is personalized to your needs. Visit lmgadagency.com for a free quote today. Let us tell your story.
For almost 10 years, there's been the go-to place for tires and automotive repair, Right Tire. Right Tire sells all makes of tires for anyone's vehicle and anyone's budget, and with Right Tire, you always get the right prompt service with the right price. Right Tire also can handle all of your bumper-to-bumper automotive needs with certified brake service, alignment, oil changes, tune-ups, and so much more. So when you want tires and automotive done right, see Right Tire on West Fort Williams in the heart of Sylacauga. Right work, right price, every time.
Life is a sequence of little successes. The story of my Southern Union success began the day I walked on campus, making new friends, mastering a new skill, reaching a personal goal, the encore performance, the first date, the internship, and now, soon, the dream job. That's the story of my Southern Union success. Register for classes and get ready to watch your Southern Union story come to life.
Become a member of the Superior family. Superior GMC Cadillac, Superior Hyundai, or Superior Automotive Pre-Owned. Between our 3 dealers in East Central Alabama, we offer the superior selection and service for any buyer's needs. All with the personal touch of being locally family-owned and operated. Check out any of our dealers online, or our 3 great lots in Anniston on Quinton, or our pre-owned superstore in Pell City, and join the Superior family of value.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill. A couple segments left in today's show. Scott, I think, man, it's been a great discussion on this. Didn't plan to go down that route, but I think we're going to be talking about this more and more and more as the years go along and trying to see where this NIL thing. And I think it's always going to morph and shape and you know, change. It's going to be a fluid situation, but they got to get some type of rules and regulations set forth. Okay, I want to flip over to talk about another thing that came out this week, the strength of schedule. If Auburn don't need any help losing right now, you know, so then you come out, if there's one that you don't want to be at the top on, it's probably this one. And, of course, Auburn's number one, strength of schedule this year. You look at it, Auburn, Mississippi State, Georgia Tech, Vanderbilt, and Tennessee. So 4 of your top 5, and then if you want to add Alabama and Texas A&M in there, 6 of your top 7 are all from the SEC. Because this is a cannibalistic conference.
Yeah.
We beat up on ourselves, and you got South Carolina and LSU. I quit. I mean, so
8 of the
basically 8 of the top 10 are SEC because, naturally you're playing each other week in and week out. I mean, this conference is brutal. So, not shocked.
No.
And I said this on Auburn Blitz yesterday. If you're an Auburn fan, this is really not anything different than you play every year. I mean, Auburn's always one of the top, most difficult schedules in the country because of the natural build-in of Georgia, Alabama, LSU, and A&M. I mean, you're going to play them 4 every year. And then Ole Miss is better. Mississippi State's better. Arkansas just got better. You play Penn State, who is, one of the top teams in the Big Ten. So this is not a surprise.
I mean, Auburn, I don't know. And both Georgia and Alabama on the road this year, correct?
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, well.
It's going to be tough.
Ronald Reagan
I mean,
used to say.
you get Penn State at home.
Well.
You got Ole Miss will be on the road. Shoot, I mean, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But, I mean, like you said, though, we're accustomed to it. So we know that if you're a fan of Auburn or a player, coach, whatever, when you get the schedule, there's 2 games on there automatically that you say, all right, it's going to be tough. And then there's another 2 that probably going to be as tough. So those are 4, like you just mentioned, and then there's
you
a couple.
You just know what you got to play. I mean, the natural built-in teams that are on your schedule. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, go ahead. You're on the Saturday Sports Countdown.
Brett, you and Scott doing good this morning?
Morris, good. Yes, sir. Doing really good.
Good morning.
I think I agree with most of what Luke said a while ago. And I think it's going to have to be regulated by Congress. The Supreme Court's the one that passed it, and Congress is the one that appropriates the rules, I guess you'd say, over that. It's a big mess, but they're going to have to do things where the kids can't recruit each other. They're going to have to put the coaches, or the administrators on notice that they're going to enforce this thing. Now, how they're going to do it, I don't know. That's way above my pay grade. But it's not going to be a deal where, a real small school can pay $5,000 a month, or a big school can't pay $5,000 a month. They got to strike a balance in there somewhere, and it shouldn't be socialized because, it's not. That would be foreign to the system.
One of the first things that I thought about when this NIL deal came out and we started learning about it and we started talking about how players can move around the transfer portal, the very first thing I thought of was, why not get your players to recruit other players? Because they wanted to make a stipulation saying, oh, well, you can't talk to current players at other schools. I wanted to say, give me a daggum break, man. That's the first thing that any coach with any worth of salt is thinking, saying, man, this opens the door for me to go tell my quarterback, hey, they got a great receiver down at UTEP. He ain't going to win squat at UTEP, but, boy, he could come over here and help us win a championship, and he'll get notoriety.
Right.
Hey, Bryce, pick up the phone and call him. And, man, when he does, then the guy gets in the transfer portal, and then he transfers because I forgot which coach said it this past week. He said, isn't it funny that most players, when they get in the transfer portal, they already have basically their decisions made within like 72 hours. It's not like they get in the portal and they're shopping around. It's like 3 days later they're arriving at the school that they're going. This thing, people need to quit being so daggum naive.
Right, because the kids are going to talk. I mean, they did it.
No doubt.
Phones or in person 100 years ago when I was in high school. But the whole thing is it's got to be done by somebody. And it looks to me like that's got to be Congress. And,
Well, God help us.
I understand that, too, but somebody's got to do it.
Well, no, I agree. Somebody's got to step in and be a leader. I totally agree. And but it's just like everything else with the NCAA. They just let it all throw out in the they threw the 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle out on the floor, and they said, all right, everybody go pick it up, figure it out.
All right, I'm going to say one more thing. I'll get off. let's just use one person that we know about. Bo Nix transferred from Milo's and whatever else he was, speaking for, out there to Oregon. That Knight fella out there, I think that's his name.
Yep.
They ain't no telling what they're paying him for that. And I'm not saying that ugly towards him, but that guy's at Nike. That's enough money to squash Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M's efforts. I mean, it's just unreal. And that's a thing you need to avoid. They're going to have to put a cap on it, I think. Whether I would like that or not is a different story.
Right.
Just for the sake of saving the game. And, everybody's going to have to apply. It's going to have to be applicable to all schools. And if Auburn pays them $3,000 a month and Alabama pays them $4,000 a month, so be it. But, that's where your human element comes in. You're still making more money than you were. And a lot of the kids I know have to help at home. Doesn't matter if they're African American, white, or whatever. It's just the way that does is it gives them money. And I saw one more thing. I saw in the Auburn plan where they were going to try to make sure that these kids had education or counseling or teaching, or whatever you're going to say, by the people that handle that stuff at school there at Auburn, to make sure that they understand if they went on to the next level and didn't sign on or whatever, they're going to be making less money than they are now. So I think they're trying to teach them on both sides. Here's how you handle it responsibly if you get a big bonus. Here's how you recoup yourself and get going again if you're making less money. And, that's just simple. Not everybody can pay the same thing. Well, that's just the way it is. But they're going to have to enforce it, and they're going to have to pass the regulation. Otherwise, it's going to be just like you were talking about, where somebody calls somebody else, and then they were there 3 days later ready to roll,
But, I think people are being completely and totally naive to not think that with any type of regulation or any type of new scenario, you're going to find loopholes and ways to get around things. And basically, they've just opened up Pandora's box. You can go out and get whoever you want to if you got the money and you got the coercion. And Luke said it best: the haves are going to continue to have, and they're going to have more because of this setup. It has widened the gap. It has not. There is no parity. It has not created parity in the sport. It's widened the gap and made the ones that don't have and the ones that have struggled, they're struggling even more now.
Yeah, well, it's so much bigger than Terry, and he has a right to feel like he feels. He never says anything positive about Auburn, period, and he's an Auburn fan, and I know he is. But the whole thing is this, and he has the right to say what he wants to say. I am saying this, is that what they're going to have to do is shut all the stuff down and control it. And it's, that's just the way it's going to be. It's that Congress is the only one that can do it. The NCAA damn sure can. And that's I don't particularly like that idea, but that's reality.
Yeah, I think the NCAA's been rendered useless now. I'll be honest with you.
Worthless is I won't say it. Anyway, that's my feeling.
Well, I think you got good points, brother. We always appreciate your call. It's always fun.
Well, it's this one right here has got a resolution. It's just got to be done. Scott, I'm sorry I didn't say to you, hey, good to see you. He always puts in a good bit of information on Saturdays, and I look forward to seeing you there, buddy.
Yes,
I see
sir.
the other one all the time, and Andy too. So you're a refreshing change.
I knew that's what you were about to say.
Okay, you take care, and y'all have a good day.
Thank you so much, War Eagle, to you too. See, I mean, your appearance
finally.
Yeah, getting a little love. Still ain't got your name on the intro of the show. It's only been 22,000 years. So, look, we're gonna have to catch up on breaks on the backside. We kind of got off, but hey, this is what it's all about. We appreciate the calls. We appreciate the comments. I had a comment come in just then. I was gonna read text and apologize, Kelly, if you're still watching and listening. My phone died.
Oh.
So it's technology at its finest. It always fails you right when you need it the most, right? Should have, I hate it for Central Florida. I was going to scan the QR code on the back of one of those guys' jerseys, but my phone died. So, but anyway, Scott, as we wrap it up here, we got to get out. Just final thoughts on all that.
I do think that this is something that needs to be regulated to an extent, but at the end of the day, this is the system that was in place. And you brought up a point earlier that I hadn't thought about is, this was probably done out of spite by the NCAA to show their value or to make sure that they maintain some type of value. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the winners are going to win, and they're going to continue to get theirs.
Didn't mention this, should have. We got into this discussion for an hour. Auburn in the Final Four today at noon on ABC. Florida, Auburn, Oklahoma and Utah. Suni Lee, gymnastics team, she national champion on bars. On the beam. Auburn will have a shot. It's going to be a tall task.
She's close to Cam level. I'm not going to lie to you. I think she's, in terms of popularity, I know that's tough, but I think because that's a universal thing.
I think you're exactly right. What she's brought to the university as far as popularity, she looks better than Cam too.
That probably helps.
So,
a little bit
by the
too.
way, I hate it for you, Cam. I know, but I think you agree, right? So, but anyway, phenomenal athlete, Olympic gold medalist, comes over. Hey, and it's not just Suni. I'm not trying to say this team. This is a good team, and so it'll be fun to watch, see what happens. Scott, enjoyed it, man. It's been a pleasure. Everybody stay dry if you can. Happy Easter out there to everybody. We'll be back with you next week for more Sports Blitz programming. For Scott Hardy, I'm Brett Pritchard saying we've enjoyed it. We hope you have. See you next week.
Skag, the toughest name in lawnmowers. Unmatched quality and performance for over 3 decades. The clear choice, the best mower money can buy for work or at home. Top lawn care professionals and discerning homeowners know that Skag means productivity and reliability. Every Skag mower is proudly built right here in the USA. Don't settle for anything less than simply the best. Skag.
Satterfield Outdoor Living on Highway 280 in Alex City.
Something big is coming. Something so big, it'll change the world of chicken sandwiches. Zaxby's new signature sandwich with Zax sauce or new spicy Zax sauce, because the chicken sandwich war ain't over yet. The new signature sandwich. All the other little sandwiches can run along. We'll take it from here.
Why is Sarah Automotive Group on Highway 280 in Sylacauga the place for the best deals on your new ride? 3 compelling reasons. 1, with 3 full new car dealers on one lot, you get the best in comparison and incentives on Fords, Hondas, and Nissans. Unmatched selection. 2, Sarah pays over market value for your trade to maintain East Central Alabama's best pre-owned vehicle selection and sales. And 3, the Sarah Automotive price won't be beat and delivers lower payments and huge value on your next buy. Shop online or on Highway 280 in Sylacauga.
Tails are wagging and pets are bragging about Zoom to Groom. Columbus, Phoenix City, and Smith Station. Zoom to Groom comes to you. It's mobile pet grooming from the comfort of your driveway. Schedule your appointment now online at zoomtogroom.net or by phone at 334-740-9909.
They say we live in an age of big data, where computers and fancy algorithms are supposed to know you best. But at Country Financial, we know helping you own your future requires, well, something much bigger. Contact your local Country Financial representative and start planning for your future with a personal touch.
Hi, John. You have messages.
Not now, phone. I'm driving.
You know you want to text your friends.
Texting and driving is illegal. No distractions, period. People die that way. Eating, putting on makeup.
Scroll through your music?
Nope.
Your girlfriend just texted. She's bored.
Sorry, not worth dying for.
Good call. She seems a little clingy.
Don't text your life goodbye. Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
Are you looking for something really good for lunch? Are you tired of the same old fast food?
Well, go to Buck's. Get a meat and 2 sides or a meat and 3 sides for the best deal in town. Buck's always serves up the best food, including fried chicken, wings, hamburger steaks, catfish, shrimp, and yes, of course, the famous Buck Cheeseburger Basket. And Buck's has dinner specials too. So if it's your turn to cook dinner, Buck's will be glad to do it for you. We appreciate your business and look forward to serving you.
Whoever you are, wherever you race, hit the track like a champion. The YZ250F and the YZ450F Monster Energy Yamaha Racing Editions. Only from Yamaha.